Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Good Game RC. So, as of right now, the most recent event for Overwatch, Uprising, is now over, or at least close to being over. I wanted to take some time to kind of talk about it, because I've been around since Overwatch has been released, and I've had a chance to play through every event that Overwatch has had. The interesting thing about Uprising is that it is one of, I believe, only two pieces of unique content that they actually created for Overwatch. The first being Junkenstein's PvE tower defense type of thing that they did last Halloween, which was a lot of fun. Now, playing Uprising here was a little bit different. We'll start getting into that, but it's mainly the same idea. That's PvE, except you're taking out robots here. So the whole story behind Uprising is that this is supposed to be, I guess, Tracer's first mission. It's her, Reinhardt, Mercy, and Torbjorn all being sent out to King's Row to take out the Omnic robots that are trying to invade and take over, basically. So what you're doing is you are basically going in and you're trying to take over points, take out robots, making sure that the robots are all cleared in certain areas of the map. And then to that point, you are escorting a payload to another area to break into another area that these really powerful robots are in. And we'll touch on that as well as we get into it. But that is the summation of it. You're basically playing a game of Overwatch against PvE characters. You have 3 control points to take over, then you escort a payload, and then you have to destroy a number of robots to finish the level. So basically where we're at here is I have finished maybe 20... If I had to put a number on it, maybe 22, 23 matches of it. And by the time I got to the end of my, 20th, 22nd, wherever we're at, we'll say 22, whenever I finished my 22nd match, I was pretty much done with it. It got to a point where it kind of felt like a slog for me, because the way the enemies pop in and everything is a little bit predictable. So by the 10th time that you're playing it, you're kind of like just doing it for loot boxes, and I have never felt that way just playing the normal Overwatch game. When you're playing it online with other players, it always feels a little bit unpredictable and fun, and you always feel like you have that shred of hope that you might prevail and actually win the match. In this one, if you're playing on normal, I guess you're kind of always going to win. So there was really not a whole lot of that predictability or unpredictability going on, so it was always predictable. You're pretty much always going to finish, and you're going to have a victory. Now, that's not to say there weren't a few times where we did fail. I think there was nothing more frustrating than playing a match of the Uprising and failing just because your team is not, doing certain things that they're supposed to be doing. You figure at this point in time the game has been out for, has it been a year now? So the game has been out, at least close to, if not a year, and people still seem to not really understand what they're supposed to be doing with their character. You still got people who are playing DPS characters that are just not a good pick, for these maps. So what I'm going to be showing you here are a couple playthroughs that I had. These are the last 2 playthroughs that I did through Uprising. I tried it with the multitude of characters. I actually tried it. You basically have 2 versions of Uprising that you could play, which was the original where you had the 4 heroes that I mentioned, which was Tracer, Reinhardt, Mercy, and Torbjorn. So you had that normal playthrough of the game, and then you had another one where you could pick from all of the heroes, so you could pick any hero you want. Now, the great thing about playing the normal story one with the predetermined characters is that it has the perfect class setup, the perfect class alignment. You got a tank, a healer, and 2 DPS characters, one of which is a support character that not only does DPS with his machine, but I can also throw out armor for people, which is very helpful. However, doing the any hero goes kind of thing with Uprising was a little bit more sticky, because you get a lot of people who just want to pick DPS, no one wants to play tank, no one wants to support or heal, and it becomes a big issue, especially when you're the only one that decides to heal and everybody else is just a soft, squishy DPS character. I was not able to actually finish Uprising on hard. They actually had achievements for normal, hard, whatever the next one was, and then legendary. So they had different difficulty selections, and I was not able to finish it on hard because of this fact. I even tried hard on the normal setup with the normal characters, the regular games with Reinhardt and Tracer, but I was not able to finish it due to the fact that, you would get paired with people who, if your tank was up there, they were just not doing what they were supposed to do, and they're going off and killing people. Or Tracer would, go off and do something, and she would get killed, and then, it would, bring the Mercy out to go take, revive these characters or whatever, and then they would get caught, and they would go down, and they would just ruin it for the team. The furthest I could ever get on hard with a random team was I got to, I think, midway through escorting the payload, and it just didn't work out. So I guess my initial thought on this when I first started is I thought it was really cool. I thought this was a great idea. I thought this was something original that Blizzard was trying to create here. They're telling stories through events, which I think is great. But as I was saying, by my 22nd match, by the end of it, I'm kind of over it. Part of me believes that Blizzard really needs to start making it so that these events are available at all times for people. But at the same time, after so many matches of it, I'm kind of over it, all of the achievements for every event so far have always been sort of a timed thing. You have to get them during the event. If you don't have enough time to play during that event, you're kind of screwed on that front, which, in my opinion, kind of sucks. But at the same time, I guess that's what brings people to keep playing the game. If they don't have these events, then they don't have skins that people can unlock. Therefore, people aren't going to buy loot boxes to try to get the skins. But as far as my Overwatch habit has been, I played a hell of a lot of it last year, probably over 100 hours of it just last year. Into the Christmas event, though, that's when I started kind of taking a break from it, and it's not because I dislike the game. I'm just kind of waiting for new stuff to happen, like events. So I've pretty much been waiting for events to happen and then jumping into the events when they show up. So when Uprising was available, I definitely jumped into it, but it still is one of those things where I would like to see the event stuff available outside of the actual time frame of the event. If they want to disable achievements, that's fine, but make it so people can at least experience the achievements. I know that Blizzard is sort of doing this as well with their Hearthstone stuff, which is kind of questionable too. Even though the Hearthstone stuff, for those of you not familiar, they're kind of eliminating some of the expansions that go along with the game, and part of that is because the cards are now like moving on and they're evolving the cards in the game and everything. But you would think it would still be, cool for players to go in and play the old expansions, be able to buy them. They're actually taking the expansions right off the market, so you can't even play the single-player stuff, which I thought was a really, really strange, way to go about delivering content for the player. If you buy it, you're always going to have it, but if you don't buy it within the time limit, then you're just not ever going to be able to play it, which I guess in turn makes it so people feel like they have to buy it because they're never going to have it. Which is very similar to how they're doing the skins here. If people don't buy the loot boxes to try to get the skins, they're just not going to get the skins. This was the first event for Overwatch, though, where I felt like I didn't really need to, work really hard to get certain skins. I think that some of the Blackwatch skins were really cool. The ones for the main team, though, I felt like were a little lacking. I actually ended up unlocking the Reinhardt one, but the other ones I really didn't care if I got them or not. I felt like Tracer's skin, she kind of looked like an airline attendant. So I don't know if that was intended to kind of have like a 50s vibe to it. Torbjorn, he kind of just looked like a mechanic with this one. He actually had two skins for this one, which, they're all right. But, I mean, I've unlocked the pirate for Torbjorn, so I haven't really found a reason to use anything else but that one. But yeah, I wasn't in love with the selection of skins for this one, and the selection of skins for this one were actually pretty small if you were to compare it to, say like the Christmas event or whatever, even though I know that the Christmas event is something a little bit bigger than just like a quick Uprising story thing. One thing they did do right with this, though, is that they did make it available for a little bit longer, so even though you're not going to be able to play this in the off season of this event, you are at least you at least had a good 3 weeks to check it out. So the 3 weeks was enough time for me to know that, like, I've played it a good 20-something times. I got my fill of it, and I'm pretty much done with it. So I guess my verdict on this, as far as like a review is concerned, is that I enjoyed myself for the first part of it, but it's not a lasting thing, which I think is important to note that, you know, this is just an event. So as an event, you know, it's probably a good thing that it's going away. It doesn't give people enough time to get sick of it unless, you know, I guess there are some people out there that are just playing the game 24/7, so when a new event shows up, they're just go, you know, keep playing through Uprising over and over and over again, especially when they want to get the achievements for all the difficulties, you know, and try to unlock all the skins. But for me, this wasn't the case. For me, in Overwatch, the gameplay itself is king. I like the skins. I like that they're in addition to the game and everything. I think they're fun. But it's not something that's going to drive me to keep playing the game. Do I like unlocking skins for my character? Of course, but like, I'm not going to go out of my way to buy, you know, loot boxes, and I'm not going to go out of my way to, you know, play something over and over and over again. I'm gonna get the loot boxes that are available to me in arcade, because you can unlock 3 extra ones every week doing that during an event, which is super helpful to help you get a few of the skins that you're looking for. But, you know, I'm not going to go out of my way to get these. It's just, I guess it's just not that important to me. I'm glad that other people are really into it. I'm glad that it's important to them or whatever, but I'm more about the gameplay. When I come back to the game, I want to play the game because I think it's fun. And I do think this game is super fun. After all, it was my game of the year last year, so I really, really enjoy it. As far as Uprising is concerned, though, I don't know that I would call it my favorite. I think that the Junkenstein event was a little better than this one. I also think that Junkenstein was a little bit more challenging just on the normal difficulty. But at the same time, it's hard to compare the two just because Junkenstein was released when the game was a bit more fresh. It was their first, you know, actual event where you could team up and do like a co-op mission. This would be the second co-op mission, and I feel like the shine has sort of, I don't want to say gone away, but it's definitely dulled a bit for Overwatch. While I will still go and play tons of online matches on Overwatch, the simple fact of the matter is that the PvE and the co-op stuff just doesn't seem to have the same legs that the normal game does, and I feel like that much is very clear with the Uprising stuff here. Not that it's bad. I think it's, as I said, I think it's a very clever way to tell the story, but you know, it's just not doing it for me like the normal game does. I would almost prefer to just wait for newer maps and the like, you know. I think newer maps and I think newer characters are really what's going to keep the game driving for me, especially when they keep adding new interesting characters like Orisa, who was added just a couple months ago. During this event, I actually got a few times, or had a chance to actually play with her a few times during this event. I thought that she was a great character, so I think that's really where the game is going to be for me going forward. And am I going to be checking out all of these different expansions and different events when they come up? Of course, yeah, I'm always going to check them out, but I think it's going to be one of those things where I don't think I'm going to be as driven to play it as much as I was before just to get loot boxes, especially when the skins aren't impressive. But I really wanted to talk about it because I thought that it was a cool event, but just not the best one that they've had. I will say that I'm very appreciative that, you know, Blizzard keeps going through and they keep coming out with new events for us to play for Overwatch, so they're keeping the game fresh. I just wonder how long they're actually going to do this for. I know that Diablo 3 has been out for quite some time, and they keep doing new seasons, you know, every 3 or 4 months or whatever. But the seasons now, for me, in Diablo 3 at least, have gotten a bit boring to the point where I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, it's a season, you can unlock armor, but who really cares? You know, that's not that big a deal for me. And Overwatch might eventually get to that point for me, too, where, you know, I just get to the point where, hey, I might uninstall the game because I'm just like, I don't really need new skins anymore. Like, I've played, you know, so much Overwatch that I'm just kind of like, alright, I think we're done here. But that's in the future, and I will let you guys know when it gets to that point. At this point, I'll probably be taking another hiatus from Overwatch here, and through my hiatus, I'll probably be playing some other games until the next event comes up, and I think it's going to be one of these events that does it for me, where I'm just kind of like, alright, I think I'm done with this game for a bit, you know, and I might come back to it in a year or something to see where it's at. I feel like there are going to have to be some changes they make to the game if they're going to want to keep people playing. They've already changed it quite a bit since the first year it was in. You know, they added the arcade mode, which made it easier for you to get certain loot boxes and that kind of thing for anybody who's really concerned about the loot boxes, which you should be if you're really into this game, because it's sort of, you know, half the game is unlocking loot boxes. So I guess to sum it all up at the end here, Uprising, pretty cool, but not the coolest. I look forward to the next event. Not sure what you know, what to actually expect or what's going to happen with the next event, whether it's just going to be skins or there's actually going to be another mission or a new map or whatever. But I do look forward to seeing what it is. So Overwatch, again, one of my most favorite games from the past few years. I think it's a lot of fun. I love the online aspect of it. Love the unpredictability of certain matches and everything. Just so much fun. But yeah, Uprising just didn't do a whole lot for me. Decent, but not great. So there you go, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on GGRC.